Join us for a review of the Lexus UX. Let's go! Now to the front, I think a very distinctive design. So it's probably love or hate, yes. So tell me in the comments, what about you, love or hate this front? But so dramatic design, like, you know, carved from a samurai sword. And here the Lexus logo resembles also in the daytime running light. That's, I think, a beautiful feature, definitely. And the headlamp unit, the main one, comes standard with LED and optional with matrix LED. 4.49 meters, 177 inches or 14'7" is the length of the Lexus UX. And comparing to the NX, that's 14 centimeters or 5.5 inches less. You know, so that's the difference then to the bigger brother. And you can see here the side profile. It looks a little bit like the design team was locked in a candy store overnight. You know, but then the good side is, you definitely will get a vehicle that looks like nothing else. I mean, have you ever seen this shape of wheel arches here? I can't even, I mean, it's some kind of a trapeze, but then not really. Yeah, so, and then, you know, the curved design lines right here, and then there's another one right there. And can't even end to describe everything they've put in here. So yeah, definitely very interesting. What I really like is here, the side mirrors. Look at that, from the lower part and the upper part, they have a contrast color in themselves. The lower one fitting then to the vehicle color, the upper one rather, you know, to the glass or something, or to the black elements right there. Well, we talked about the front being very dramatic, but the same goes for the rear. First of all, beautiful design element that this light strip goes all over the car here. And then this is a very three-dimensional design. Of course, yeah, we always see it from the outside that you will lose some trunk space on the inside. For example, here, those tail lamps are shaped in a so three-dimensional way. You could even have breakfast on this area here. Yeah, very, very interesting. And then a big contrasting shape in the lower end. Really glad they did not go for fake exhaust tips. No hydraulic struts. I think for that price we could have expected that here. Nevertheless, talk about the engines. This one UX 200, a 2-liter naturally aspirated petrol engine, 170 horsepower. And based on that one, there's also the hybrid, the 250h. That one then with about 180 horsepower and with an electric motor as an additional one. And you can get that one also as front-wheel drive only, like this one here, or then also in another version as all-wheel drive. Very interesting material right here on top of the dashboard. It's soft and has a special structure, so really cool, very well done, again with contrast stitches. Then those ones here are the animal skin seats in the luxury line, the own line where you can only get those, but Lexus offers a wide variety of non-animal materials which are really high class. In Europe, for example, especially also in Germany, we get fabric seats with the microfiber parts, so fabric microfiber mix in beige, gray and black, so 3 different colors. That's pretty cool. Or you can also get in the F Sport a microfiber leatherette mix, Ecolux, the leatherette brand name here in Europe, and in the US they call their leatherette New Lux, and there you get in all trims a New Lux in beige, black or brown. So pretty good choices as for that. Getting inside proves my point that this one here is not an SUV but a crossover. You sit a little bit higher than in a normal compact hatch, but it rather feels like a compact hatch than an SUV. But similar to, for example, to a Mercedes GLA which is also not really an SUV to me. Interior overview, very unique design here too. Again, great material here on the top of the dashboard. It looks good, it feels great, so special, I really like that. And again, the element I showed you earlier, right here, that resembles the front grille. Then you get a 7-inch screen as standard, and optional this one, 10.3-inch with a widescreen format and still with an analog clock. Then great quality of materials, like all the buttons you click, the sounds they make, the haptic feedback you get from everything. This is very well done. The lower area, you have an area for the seat cooling, also for seat heating, heated steering wheel, so all those, even in 2 levels, so all those options are available. Steering wheel again here, you see this compact setup, right side for the cruise control, left side, for example, to control those instruments. Yeah, and those instruments, they're all digital. You can see it right here when I turn off the ignition and the seat pulls me back again. So pretty interesting. And they look analog in the middle part, but they are actually not. And in the left side, for example, you can then see the fuel consumption. A nice option is this head-up display, clear to see and to read with the allowed speed, the current speed, and also some GPS information. Then close up here at the infotainment screen. The visualization already looks a little bit old school, but the big problem is really how you control everything. I mean, you know, with this touchpad, which gives you a haptic feedback, yeah, and then you scroll through those ones. Here is not a touchscreen. And here again how it works. So you use your finger, you get somewhat of a haptic feedback from this touchpad, and then you swipe left and right, and then those, you know, those stuff are actually appearing and, like, you know, putting in like magnets a little bit. But again, I think it's very distracting while driving. And in the lower part, you have an inductive charging platform for your smartphone. Then next to it is very interesting, this 12-volt power supply socket. When you open it, it lifts so smoothly, and then it clicks also when you close it again. And now to the rear, where this door here doesn't open too wide. Hard pack materials, by the way, at the rear door from the inside. And I'm just so glad that this car here has a bright ceiling on the inside. Otherwise, this one here would be a total black hole. And you can see, as I would be driving, and yeah, the seat is in the forward position at the moment, so from this automatic comfort feature. So I'm totally hitting my knees right there. I can barely sit here as a tall adult, knee room wise. Headroom wise, actually no problem, that's totally fine. So what about the trunk? Electric hatch here, and yeah, it takes quite some time to open it. And you can see it's very limited in height here, because the hybrid versions would have the battery right here, and here in this case, well, you can store some more stuff underneath, so that's possible then. But then the upper, well, there's no reloading sill, that's cool. But then again, you know, the height is really limited. So a trolley would fit in that way, but not really in that way, at least not under the cover. And even if I remove the cover, you can see this probably doesn't work. Yeah, so that's the thing about. If you want some, you know, some more fuel savings, the hybrid engine would be a better choice. However, you always have to think about, check it out in your specific market. What's the extra price for it? And how many kilometers do you drive per year? And does it really pay off in the long run? And if you're driving predominantly on the motorway and higher and steady speed, then again, the hybrid won't make so much sense in comparison to this one. Yeah. So that's about the fuel consumption, a little bit comparison to the just pure petrol engine and the hybrid drive. Overall to this vehicle, I think one of the main characteristics is they announce it a little bit like a small SUV, but I think it's actually not. So it's definitely a crossover to me. As for the seating position, don't sit too high. Told you that earlier in the interior part. And also driving wise, it rather drives like a normal compact hatch. Yes, of course, a little bit higher, but not too high. Overall quite positive, definitely. But not this kind of SUV style. And I mean, it's not bad. It's just depends, you know, on what you really want. Seating position is somewhat good and cozy. Of course, as I said earlier, you don't feel you know, as a tall person, you pretty much caged in a little bit, you know, in this interior. So it's not the widest, tallest interior. And yeah, we know that from quite some Lexus vehicles, definitely. And also from Toyotas, that they're not necessarily primarily built for tall people. But you know, I still get along pretty well. That's not a problem. And you have a very refined ride. That's, I think, another very important aspect, you know. So it's decently fun, definitely, and it's very smooth. This ride overall is very smooth. I can also go to the sport mode here with this strange dial. Then the the RPMs are going a little bit higher, and the steering is also a little bit stiffer. And let me show you some acceleration: 60 kilometers to 100. Let's go. That was it. So you see, that was pretty decent. But again, I think the main characteristic is everything feels so refined, you know? Silent, and you know, when you have the smooth transitions from accelerating and stuff, everything feels very, very refined. And that's in general what I like about the Lexus vehicles. And so in this respect, there's then no difference to the German premium manufacturers as for the refinement you feel. In some parts they are maybe even more refined. Of course, they are not set on the performance, on the levels, especially with the hybrid models, as the German manufacturers do. But then again, especially with the hybrid models, you can score really decent fuel consumption figures. That's pretty cool, definitely. So now indeed we are also fuel consumption-wise right in the middle of what I said from the minimum maximum level. It's like between 6 and 10 liters. Now we are exactly at 8 liters, and that's including also a bigger acceleration. So yeah, again, it should be lower, but this whole ride, how it's set out to be, also feels more like it should be a hybrid, you know, with the transmission, the engine power, the same engine of course is being used, but just plus the electric motor and the soft steering setup and so on. So a very relaxed ride with this one here. That's what I think I like most with this vehicle. And now to our conclusion for today with the Lexus UX. Yeah, name badging aside, I think it's very unique in the front. It's very aggressive Lexus styling we also have seen with their, other recent models. And so definitely very unique in this very segment. I think it's more a crossover, definitely. It doesn't sit too high. Also the driving feeling is more compact, car-ish, and a little bit higher. So I think crossover, is the right term for that. The interior is very refined, I like it. And they also have enough non-animal seating choices, which are also high class and premium. So a very good choice as for that. Told you earlier about that. Space you got on the inside, yeah, that's pretty limited. You don't feel too well in the front seat as a very tall person, but it's still okay. Then of course a little bit cramped in the rear and a very, very small trunk. So that's, I think, the main downside, that you don't have so much space on the interior. However, driving wise, it's very refined, very smooth, and this great noise insulation fits to the great choice of the dashboard materials and so on. And steering feeling also soft but precise. Also the engine and transmission, everything is very silent if you keep it at low RPMs. So overall, it fits all together to a very smooth and calm driving experience. And as I already said in the driving part, there the hybrid drivetrain also somehow fits a little bit more to the car. Better fuel economy, and it also fits to the whole relaxing concept of this vehicle. So I think overall a pretty impressive car they put on here. Of course, with some minor drawbacks, as for example, everything which we have in the room, beginning from B-pillar and to the very end. So what do you think? And of course, pricing, yeah, is very, very expensive. You have to think about if you want, this rather small car for such a price. But then again, the competitors from Mercedes, BMW and Audi and Volvo, they are not, much better in that respect. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and also tune into some other reviews of those compact crossovers from the competitors. See you there.